Hello, everybody, and welcome to an episode of the Arkham Podcast with me and Daniel from Quick Learner. How's it going, Daniel?
Pretty good. We've been recording this morning and been having a good time playing the game. I've been playing the game a lot recently too, which I'm happy to talk about later too. But man, a lot of news recently, huh?
Yeah, a good little chunk of news here for Arkham Horror. We're going to talk about here beyond just kind of the idea of covering the news. We're also going to give like our thoughts and opinions. So it should be pretty fun. And then if, depending on the timing, we might discuss some other things as well. Just general Arkham stuff, as well as like, obviously cards are coming out. Spoiler season is still happening. Before anyone asks, this is Arkham.build that we're using for this. And you should use it. It's really good.
Yeah. We may have just talked about that a few days ago.
Yeah. It might have just come up. All right, so I have this. This is the slides that I made for the announcement from the in-flight report, which I will say I actually thought the in-flight report this year was really good compared to the one from 2024, which I wouldn't really call bad, but I felt more like I was like, oh, this is just like the scale felt smaller. The in-flight report this year, the brand ambassador, I think his name is Wesley, he was a pretty good host. I thought he did really good. And also I felt like they actually talked about a lot more. Because if you don't remember for the one for 2024, they talked briefly about Arkham, briefly about Marvel Champions. They talked about Star Wars Unlimited, and then they talked about Game Genic for like 30 minutes.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
This time I was kind of excited to hear about the Game Genic box. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
They did a good job of saying, like, here's all the Arkham stuff, and then after that I kind of tuned out. So it was a good time. And you're right, they talked about way more than I thought they would have at this point. Like, I didn't think they were going to tell us about the rest of the investigators in the core set, which you have here on the screen. It's just like, here we are. Let's just tell you everything that you didn't know already.
Yep. And another thing as well, this is going to probably be relevant for Arkham in the future. It's not so relevant right now. But because Asmodee bought Cthulhu Death May Die, they announced that it actually was going under the FFG umbrella. So we were always hypothesizing that there would be some sort of like crossover with Arkham Horror and Cthulhu Death May Die. I think at this point, it's an inevitability. It's going to happen. There's going to be Arkham characters are going to show up in Death May Die, and they might steal the non-referential characters from Death May Die to put into Arkham. I can see that happening for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. Right. Just thinking about the investigators here, were you surprised by any of these inclusions of, well, the two new ones we didn't know anything about?
Oh, man. No, not really. I was expecting one more new investigator, right? Like, I was expecting another, like, maybe like a reskinned ally or like a story character. But I will say, I think that this is actually a phenomenal roster of characters. I'm curious to see, like, how different Dexter and Trish are. We already know what Daniela's ability is. And for people, we're not going to say what it is for people who don't want unofficial spoilers. But it is very similar. So she's going to have a very similar play pattern. But I'm curious to see what Dexter and Trish bring to the table. I think it's a great roster of characters, though. I think these are all awesome, like, characters to have for it. I think that Dexter Drake is a little bit more exciting of a design than Agnes Baker, just on like the personality. Not that Agnes Baker is bad, but I think like a magician is going to be a much bigger selling point compared to the waitress for that kind of vibe.
I mean, he's very well known across all the Arkham properties, so it's gonna be cool to play with him again. I think the fact that we had him already in a book, right? He had a novella form, although the ability was the same, but he had a different signature. And now we get like kind of a third version of him is sort of neat.
Yeah.
But the magic part, right? The now you see it, now you don't. That was in the original from Innsmouth and from the novella. I thought was super cool, right? That made a lot of thematic sense. So we're gonna see what we get from this guy. I do think that. So we've only seen, other than Daniela, sort of Joe's front side. The other ones, we haven't seen Izzy yet, are, we don't know. And Joe is really, really simple.
Yeah. Here.
I suspect that there's going to be at least one investigator who isn't as simple as that. But most of them will be relatively straightforward, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Guardian. I mean, okay, again, not to get too deep into it, I actually going to say I think the Guardian's going to be simple, but we know Danielle's ability, and I wouldn't call it necessarily. I think Joe's is very easy to play. I think Joe is designed to be the face investigator for the box, where like he is going to be the one that's like, if you're a new player, you should play Joe Diamond. If you're going to play solo, you should play Joe Diamond, right?
And that's why we got him first.
Yeah, and why he's also quite simple with his ability. But I know this Arkham community at this point that if they revealed Zoe Samaras as she was printed today, they would hate her. They'd be like, "What the hell is this? This is not Zoe Samaras." But people love Zoe, right? And I think a similar thing's going to happen with Joe Diamond, where I understand the difference of like missing the idea of having like original Joe was very unique in his ability. But original Joe, you're not going to want to hear this, people, was actually very restrictive in his ability to play, right? Like he was like his deck building like kind of was on rails. You had to include 10 insights for your hunch deck. And those hunches were kind of the same thing, bar from maybe 4 to 6 of them at the most, right? Most people are going to put in
a hunch.
Yeah, right. It's like it's in the hunch deck. You got to put that in there. And I think that this Joe, while he has a less flashy ability, I think it's going to make his deck building more open and more interesting to play compared to the original Joe. Not more fun, maybe not necessarily more fun, but...
Yeah, that's the thing about Zoe. When you bring that up, it's a good point. I mean, I come from a perspective of I didn't play when she was first released. And it's really hard at this point to look back and say, like, well, you know, what was it like to play with these investigators? Now that there's a big card pool, you can do so much with the very basic abilities, right? Zoe has this very cool 5 cards in any class that lets her do kind of all kinds of weird things that you might not otherwise think about, and then you always release new cards and say, how can I put them in those investigators? But her economy, right, encourages her to play some of those expensive Guardian assets that show up. So she's really fun. We don't see as much at the beginning of the card pool for Joe. It's like, what do you do with him? Well, it really depends on the cards that they print. So at this point, I don't think people are excited because it's hard to imagine that. But once we get, and I think this is an important point, that the investigator box sets that are coming out at the same time, I feel like it's just the core is this product that you're buying, but then really that's not enough cards.
Yeah,
you can start to buy those other investigator starter decks, the evergreen ones, and probably fill out a lot of archetypes right from the get-go. And we didn't have that at the very beginning of the game. It was just core and then sort of a trickle of Dunwich.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see when we start seeing, like, because I imagine the evergreen starter decks are going to be less basic than the core set, right? But here, actually, maybe let me get them on the screen for people too. We're going to bounce between all of these things as we talk about them. But I imagine that these are going to be less basic than the core set, but they're still going to be, I think they're going to be very similar to the starter decks that we have now, right, for the investigator decks. But I think what they're going to do is they're going to expand on the class identity, but also explore the stranger parts of the identity. The not just like, if you look at the core set Seeker, it's pretty much draw cards, right? Like, it's like they're going really hard that this is what Seekers do. But what that means is that they're going to, in theory, and hopefully in practice, need less card draw going forward because their foundation is so strong for card draw. Like, that's the identity of the class. They don't need to add, like, think of it like the Mystic cards, right? The hope is that they put in a spell suite for attacking and investigating, right? And if they don't do that, I will lose faith in the design team, right? But having those available in Mystic means that they're going to feel less inclined to always have to add those into each cycle because they already exist. And it's kind of carries to the same with the Seeker, where they can start doing weirder things because their card draw has already been established. It's not going to always need to do more of the same. They'll have like the thing that they can work with and build off of.
Yeah. Imagine if they had put preposterous sketches in the core, right? The original core. I mean, granted, people don't love the card, but it would have established, look, we have the card draw already. We don't need to print 5 variants of it every few years, right? We don't need to put deep knowledge and their inquiry, etc. It's just, you already have it. You have Lab Assistant, you have Gather Intel. If you want to draw more cards, you've got the book.
And you have like also, Unbridled Knowledge, and then, the Grimoire.
Yeah. I agree with that. And like as a core set, that makes sense. But like when I saw the secret cards, I just said, well, what are we drawing to get? Like there's barely any skills because there's just the 1 in deduction. There's the skills that are, I guess, the neutral ones we'll have. But there isn't like that payoff for drawing cards that we are so used to in like Big Hand or, you know, cycling through some very powerful, cheap things. So there's some good bones here, but I think that the starter decks are going to have more. They're going to have, okay, here's why you play these cards, right?
Yeah. I want to play a game, though, for people who haven't played from the beginning.
Sure.
And that game is called Let's Look at Back the Original Core Set and compare the Seeker classes from that. So, for context, we're going all the way back to the original core. This isn't the revised core. Because I actually do feel that a lot of players who are currently talking about the game, you can tell they weren't there from the start, right? Like, you can tell that they didn't play with, like, when they played the game for the first time, they had, like, a lot. You know, they had, like, a full cycle. But we were over here, for example, playing Rougarou with just 2 copies of the core set. Like, that's what we were doing back in the day. Same with Carnival, right? Because of the release, I was doing some reading online that it was, like, core set, then we got 2 standalones, and then Dunwich. Right, so like that was because I mean a big thing is this whole timeline thing that people have been talking about as well. But I think that this is a good thing to I think also show how there was improvements over these cards from it, right? From like the original core to this core 2026 for what exists here. So hand assets, magnifying glass was still here, but there's actually less hand assets going through this. What do you think about the change from into these 4 versus the 5 that we had here?
Right. So I guess it's just mag class level 1 is gone. Otherwise, there's sort of 4 still.
Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, look, medical text was there.
Yeah.
It wasn't good, but it's there, I guess, because they were afraid that Daisy with 5 health was just gonna explode and needed a way to spend an action to heal, and I guess that was a choice, but it unfortunately takes up a slot, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the tomes are kind of her big thing. So the encyclopedia, I think, was a really cool payoff. I think it's still useful for her and some other investigators, and they've had to iterate on that. Like Abigail Foreman plus encyclopedia way down the line is still pretty cool.
Yes.
But that's like what your payoff, I think, is for the tome deck. Like that's what you're trying to do, like support a little bit, draw some of these cards that allow you to progress the game in some way. But really, you could just get away with the magnifying glass, and with 5 book in Daisy, you're kind of just good.
And I think what you're saying is actually a really important thing to note too. Like these cards are really nice in Daisy, right? But like, who's playing Old Book of Lore outside of Daisy, right? That's the nice thing that I like about these ones, is I find a reason I would play Fingerprint Kit. I mean, I wouldn't play Fingerprint Kit, but I know people who would.
You're gonna have to now.
Yeah. In like any Secret Investigator, like same with Local Map, right? Same with Mysterious Grimoire. I think that the value of these cards are less about the payoff and they're more like the glue that holds the whole thing together, right?
Yeah. And that's maybe that's what people are disappointed about with Joe, is that it's so generic that it feels like you're just playing Seeker Investigator number 2.
Yep.
And maybe, like, I don't know, there's a way around that in the core set, because the other option was exactly what they did with Daisy, and then everything going forward needed to be like, let's print some more tomes for Daisy, everyone has Daisy, or you would need to print different things or so many different things, because no one else wanted to run those cards. They were just too restricted to the fact that she had an extra action to run tomes. So, yeah, I agree. But I think there's no win here, right? You have to print someone to be the investigator in the core,
Yep.
and yet, it's not exciting to play all of these cards without an archetype around it. But look, every investigator is going to do well with these cards.
Yes, and I think that I do empathize with the people who are upset that Joe is boring because they really connect with that strange identity that Joe has. But I think just like try him out. Maybe you'll have fun with him because he lets you do fun stuff with him because his ability is just kind of just generically consistent. I wouldn't necessarily say good. It's a good ability, but I think that it's a bit more open.
Well, I will say that given when we're recording this, we haven't seen anything from Guardian outside of a couple pictures of some stuff. I think because he is off-class Guardian, it's going to make him very different than other investigators. I think he will take advantage of those 0-2 class cards that no one else is going to be thinking about as much. And the same as you're pulling.
And as we already saw, right? Like now we know who this is for. It's for Trish, right?
It's for Trish.
Yeah.
So I think that's the part that it might make sense more once we see the Guardian cards, what the rest of his deck is going to look like.
Yes. Yeah. All right. I'm just curious to just go through. I don't want to spend too much time on this because we have a lot of things to talk about. But
sure. Yeah. What else is in the core?
No accessory slot for the new one.
No, that's for the gold bug.
Yeah, it's the gold bug taking up that slot now. Yeah.
Whereas I've read online the bold gug.
You know what? I could go with that. Ally comparison, we have Dr. Milan and Research Librarian versus Dorothy Simmons and Lab Assistant. I think that Dorothy Simmons is a slightly... I have my qualms with her design. I think she's a less enticing Dr. Milan too obviously, Like, if her ability was... after successfully investigate by exactly 1 or 3, gain a resource, or like draw a card, I'd be like, that's different, like that's different. But this is like, oh, this is just Dr. Milan, but worse. Which is probably good, as we just talked about in the episode we just recorded for your channel today. No spoilers, but Dr. Milan showed up.
Yeah.
And then I think Lab Assistant is a strong ally. And I think we here at Playing Board Games, we always had problems with Research Librarian. His tutoring was too good. But I think these are pretty comparable for the ally slots anyway, for like the changes here.
I mean, look, Lab Assistant makes a lot of sense with Joe drawing cards, right? This is just allows him to hold on to more. As we saw with his weakness, right? You're going to have to hold on to more cards in hand because you don't want to get rid of that thing too early. So it makes a lot of sense to have her here.
Yeah. Sharp Rhetoric versus Hyper Awareness is just like a straight up upgrade. Like it's like, yeah, you lose the ability to evade, but they added another option for that. And I think I think this cycle is actually going to be super playable. Travis said they're very close to the masks, and they really are.
Yeah, so far it's the same stats that we've seen for the masks. And they probably, as a design team, said, okay, the other stats are a bit more out of reach.
Yeah.
Because in Chapter 1, basically every investigator, every class could boost every stat, except for Mystic. Mystic is the only one that didn't have a way to boost agility ever. And even boosting, like with Blood Pact, it was a bit dicey.
Yeah.
But everyone else could just throw in a Composure or a Mask or one of the talents and be good. So I just hope that, I mean, if we see upgraded versions of these, just please don't make them permanent.
Yeah. I mean, I think go with the exact same lineup they had for like the Dig Deep style thing, right? Like, I think that's already a really good line. They can make the level 2 version 0, and I would be like, yeah, I want to play this still. I get 2 free activations, essentially, and I actually want to activate them, because +2 is a lot better than +1.
It really is. I think they're going to be really good.
Yeah, I think so, too, as well. The Survivor one is also just seems crazy. No permanent thing to match there, so that's new. Studious, I think, is a very interesting... This was your spoiler. Very interesting addition into Core 2026. And I don't really know how to feel about it yet, I'm happy because I think it's a very powerful card, and I like playing with it because if my mulligan is good, I'm probably going to win the game. But I don't know. This seems like a weird, just like good evergreen thing. Like I'm wondering if each class is going to get some sort of permanent, right?
They might.
Yeah. Or if this is
in the original core, I mean, there weren't as many cards, right? So I'm not sure if this is taking the spot of Old Book of Lore 3. But to me, like, the permanent cards are always strong, and you can put 2 of them in your deck. So if you're like, what do I put in for 3 XP or 6 XP? You can always just do this.
Yep.
And I like that just because if you don't have a huge collection, sometimes you can't find something super synergistic with what you're trying to do. And this is never bad. This is never the wrong choice.
Yeah. I also feel like this is maybe a signpost that Seeker, and also same with, actually with both your spoilers, both also Mysterious Grimoire. And I'm hoping this is that every class is going to be able to draw cards. Seeker is going to be the best at card draw, but they're also going to be the best at card selection, right? Which I think is better than giving it to the rogues. I think that was a mistake. So like I'm happy to see this, and then also the Unbridled Knowledge.
So what do you think of, having looked at all the cards with card draw, the fact that none of them say choose another investigator like Daisy's stuff could?
Honestly, as we talked about in that support Seeker video during Seeker Week, no one used it. And I think it's okay to just kind of accept that Seekers are selfish and kind of put that more into the Guardian class.
Yeah.
Even the Mystic class, I'd like to see it there. Because like they have the Scroll of Prophecies, and I think I would like to see that kind of explored more, you know?
I'm okay with it mostly because of Daisy, right? Daisy had the extra action, and sometimes it was like, let's be nice about using that extra action. For Joe, who, well, admittedly, he gets the extra draw himself anyway, but for investigators that don't need to give things away because it's just not as useful, then it's okay not to have it.
Yeah.
But maybe you're right. Maybe Guardian gets to do something like a Deep Knowledge where you get to divide up the cards as you wish.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Events. So, not counting the Joe one, they had 4. Honestly, this one's, I mean, thank God for Barricade's gone. Like, people just didn't play this card. This is an expansion card. This is not a core card, right? Like, if this was in an expansion, I'd be like, yes. But it always being there, you're really left with 3 events. One's a panic button, which I think is good. Seeker should have panic buttons. And they kind of still do, right, with Through the Cracks.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very big panic button.
Yeah.
Kind of like, what was it in Survivor, Cunning Distraction? Kind of feels like that.
Yeah.
It's not something you really want to play, but you will.
I do think that it's ultimately healthier than I've Got a Plan.
Oh, well, sure. Yeah, that's not in the core, thankfully, but yeah.
But yeah, like for like Dunwich in comparison for that, right? Like I feel like that's what this is. This is being like, hey, do you remember I've Got a Plan? This is actually how Seekers should be dealing with enemies. They should have a little bit harder time with it.
I'm going to guess that Trish's ability has something to do with leaving locations with
Fox
enemies.
Fox Mask like style thing. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so I think that's a good prediction. I think Gather Intel is a nice card draw card. It's...
Oh, can you see it now? Trish plays Gather Intel to draw cards and then uses Through the Cracks to get out of there and then triggers some ability that she has.
I could see it.
Just building it right now. Hey, if I'm right or anywhere close to right, then...
I mean, I could say it's a very easy trigger. After you leave a location with an enemy, right? She's avoiding the stuff now. She's not the same Trish that she was because she's now an ex-spy, so she's no longer exploiting enemies. She's like leaving them behind, right?
And probably a more healthy relationship with the game too, right? I still think Trish is one of those investigators that's a bit overtuned.
I agree. Yeah. And you know what's crazy? When she came out, people didn't see it. There are actually people like, oh, this is kind of boring. But like that's the thing that you don't know until you actually like put it into practice, right? Like you really have to like see things work out. Unbridled Knowledge, I think, is a healthier cryptic research as well. And it's really good card selection. Yeah.
I'm going to have a fun time playing that card.
Yep.
Again, also people need to step back from the... I mean, yeah, we're doing the comparison, but like it's okay for it to be not fast and more XP and be not as good.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's what they're trying to do with having a new core set, a uh, new era of the game. That they're saying that might not have been the best thing to print in the core.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's and I mean I think that like they're pretty comparable really. Like this one is better, right, if you had to just look at it like one-on-one, but digging 8 cards to draw 3 is stronger than a fast draw 3, right? Like that's the card selection is going to be like that's better than just drawing 3 fast. If
it is,
yeah.
Yeah, it is if you're playing the game fairly and not just using it to cycle through your deck, right?
Yeah, yeah. For the Amanda Sharp thing, especially with that, is its own problem, right? Like this card probably should have removed itself from the game from its original design. And I think you're 100% right. They don't need to match the power level of things that you can look at and be like, this was actually likely a mistake.
Yeah, like Agatha too can replay that, right?
Yes.
Cryptic research and that sort of thing. It just doesn't need to be part of the game as much. I know there are a lot of people who are very happy to cycle their deck like 5 times in a scenario, but maybe they shouldn't design cards around that idea, right?
Yes. I give Agatha a bit of a pass with the cryptic research because she has to remove it from her deck for this scenario. I think Amanda is, and like Harvey are probably like the bigger, like the real, like you make your deck like and you cycle it every turn. No bueno. That's I mean, we talked about it in the interview you gave me ages ago. The thing I changed about the game was emptying your deck gives you like trauma. So
right,
yeah, that's my opinion on cycling. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I think working a hunch is a good glue piece as well. I think there's a lot of synergy that can come, and same with deduction. I think it's important that deduction stayed here as well, and I imagine vicious blow will too.
Right. It reminds me of this is a while ago when there was a whole not discussion that we all had in a civil way about is deduction all that good, and I mean it is good. It's good for the game, but it's also not that good, right?
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine, but honestly, what are you saving yourself? You're saving yourself an extra test. You're saving yourself an action. That's like working a hunch on its own, right?
Yes.
Minus the cost and all of that. So it's good. It's good to have as a baseline. But where things get to a little bit crazy with the upgraded version, with practice makes perfect, with looping your deck, of course, all that stuff magnifies cards like deduction. But as a baseline, it's very good. It's just
yeah. Well, that's the thing that we often talk about with the deduction conversation is deduction good? And the answer is yes, but you don't need deduction to get deduction effects is what the real answer is, right? As long as you're getting some tempo, that's what's the thing. And deduction is the core tempo, right? Like if you look at the box, it actually, like it and Fingerprint Kit and Working a Hunch are like the tempo. This gives you movement, which is nice, but sometimes you don't want to move, but it is kind of there as well, right?
Yeah. Local map is one of those cards that for right now, and again, maybe, oh, look, Trish could, the hypothesized Trish would be really good with this
yeah,
too.
I think you're onto this.
Anyway, it's one of those cards that I want to have in play, but I don't want to include it in my deck or play it.
Yeah.
So I might have to with just playing with the core set cards, but
yeah. Are you going to also run?
synergies.
Are you also going to run Chapter 2 as a format?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you going to rotate Legacy, Current, and Chapter 2? Like that's what I'm going to have. I'm going to kind of play all 3, I think.
Yeah. It really depends on like where I'm at in the game. I think I'm trying to play some of those investigators that I still haven't played through a campaign in Chapter 1. I'd like to get those things done more or less before Chapter 2 comes out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to like completely abandon Legacy, but so like here's a question. Which of these cards do you think slot really easily into Legacy stuff without being
Great
I
question.
don't want to say broken, but like unintended,
The Grimoire, I think. Card selection wins card games, right? And I mean, of the new cards only, obviously not including cards that already are in Legacy.
Right.
I do think that Unbridled Knowledge is stronger than people are giving it credit for. So I think it's those 2 cards.
I think I'd put Gather Intel in a lot of decks.
Yeah,
I think it seems good.
I agree with that. I think it's anytime you don't have to spend an action to draw cards is also just like really nice, as we saw with Glory. Just helps you get through your deck quicker.
Yeah, it also doesn't feel. I don't know. It feels like it could slot into earlier investigators and decks without it feeling like this doesn't belong.
Yep. Yeah.
Like they could have printed it 5 years ago, but never found the space for it until now.
Yep.
You know?
I agree. But yeah, no, I think that there are cards. So I think everyone is again very reactive. I had some people in the comments say I was being too mean and that that I could be better. But sorry, I'm awful. So get ready for this. But I think a big thing is that a lot of people are just assuming these cards aren't playable without actually playing them. I've seen this like every expansion that has ever come out for this game since I started to like really pay attention to the community. And I think that you're right. Like Gather Intel is quietly very good, right? I think that Unbridled Knowledge, when you're going to be looking at the top 8 cards of your deck for 3 cards of your choice, is going to be very powerful. Having another like a Mr. Rook back, but like as he was written without taboo, is really strong as well, right? These are all in a less contested slot, because now in Legacy you can get a Mr. Rook effect while still playing everyone's beloved Dr. Milan, right?
Or not, like we talked about earlier. I haven't played that guy in a long time, and you can win the game just fine.
Yeah, just like even like looping laboratory assistants, right? Like even just playing Dr. Charles West, like the thing is like all these cards I think are going to be more impactful than I'm talking to the community, the people who think they're not strong. They're stronger than you think. I do believe that.
Even Dissection Tools is stronger than you think.
Yep. All right. I think I was going to ask, what do you think these investigators were going to do? But I think you honestly nailed Trish. I think Dexter's going to be combat. I think that this is a very combat heavy core set. I've talked about how I feel like the theme is more violent in this core set compared to the original. I think it's more desperate in the flavoring.
So do you think they may have changed up a little bit with the scenario design, the enemy design, to reflect that?
I do think so. I think that scenarios are going to be more aggressive. There's more tools to deal with enemies. And I think that it's going to be, optimally in a perfect world, less focus on just traditional gather clues to get through things. It's going to be a little bit more, like maybe if like before this, the enemy like thing was like 2-to-1 treacheries to enemies. It's not going to be 2-to-1. It's not going to be like 1-to-1, but like it's going to skew a bit more towards enemies, I feel.
Yeah. I think this will be a good chance for them to try out something different, just because we've gotten into that malaise of Seekers are overpowered because they progressed the game and they're really good at that, and all you need is clues and you can just go Book v Shroud.
Yeah.
And then the fighters sit around staring at their shoes and maybe just die to treacheries or something.
Yeah.
But I think that'll change. I think we're going... I mean, we don't have... well, I don't know about Daniela's deck, but I would say that if she's anything like the old Daniela, she wasn't exactly a support guardian, right? She was in the sense that she could take enemies off of other people, but she wasn't supporting them with resources or card draw or healing. Like, that was not her shtick.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's going to... I mean, I know the designers want Guardian to be more protective in some sense, but I bet if enemies are more of a threat, that's going to be the way they protect people.
Yes. Yeah, and I also think that this core set is going to be like the main focus. So I think like it's going to be like soaking for this one, and then supporting for this one is kind of how I feel it.
Flipping Tommy's ability over to his deck building, probably for sure to Daniela.
Yeah. I think that that's going to be kind of the thing that happens here. So also, I've said this already, but you and I've told you about this. How you knew about these guys for a while. We've known that these guys were coming, and we had two big sticking points.
Yeah.
Which was what's Carolyn Fern and Andre Patel. Because Andre Patel is the first time we've seen an ally, a story ally, mind you, so not a player card ally. I mean, it technically is a player card, but I don't want to get into the weeds. As an investigator. What do you think about that? What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, we had the Red Glove Man already as you can't play him in your deck in Scarlet Keys, so I don't think there's any problem with, on a limited basis, you can't play Film Fatale.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they could say something silly like it's his stunt double or something that you run into on the film set. But that's fine. I don't think it's that big of a deal. If that's the issue, right? If just by the sense of upgrading an ally, into the main cast, I think that's it's neat. There's so many good characters out there in Arkham Horror that have just been side characters, and there's no reason not to give them their time to shine.
Yeah, I also think that if they can hand wave it very quickly, easy too. Where just like you can even maybe play Andre Patel in Film Fatale, but just the story ally can't interplay because of the unique rule, right? It's just like he just doesn't show up, because
in that scenario he doesn't interact with the scenario in any particular way. You just get him
because they probably knew he was going to be an investigator by the time they were designing this. Do you think Marie Lambeau is going to be Doom focused, or do you think they're going to just say? Do you think she's going to be? I think she's going to be spell focused.
Yeah, I believe Duke said something about her being not like original Marie.
That makes tons of sense. I don't see her being Doom again.
Yeah. So yeah, no Doom, and Dexter for that matter, right?
Yeah.
Played a lot with Doom cards, and we haven't seen anything from Mystic other than the 2 cards from the original release article. Maybe there's not as much like Arcane Initiate type stuff. I don't know. Maybe we'll get that down the line, but it's always hard to design those cards. Maybe they're just gonna keep away from it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Spell focus seems cool. I like that.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. I think Carolyn Fern is Mono Seeker. I think we're gonna see Support Seeker stuff here. And also a more traditional Kluber.
Monocolor?
I do.
I don't think so. I'm gonna.
Yeah, you think they're gonna be multi-class? I could see. Yeah. I could see it, but.
I mean, the safe money is that they're monocolor, just because of the nature of what are the cards that they include in the deck. Like if you like Guardians, you bought Nathaniel Cho, although it wasn't really a great set for other Guardians.
Yeah.
So what do they do here? Do they give you? Let's just pretend Tommy is 05 Guardian and 02 Rogue or something. I don't know. What percentage of the cards in the one product that you buy are one class versus another?
Yeah.
I don't know. They come up with a number, make it work, or maybe they're trait based. Maybe they, Carolyn gets core healing again. I don't know. I think they shouldn't just go back to the old way because they already did that. I get it. They're doing 0502 for the core set again, but I want to see some other stuff from these guys.
Yeah.
That's just my take.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. The reason why I feel like they're going to be mono is just because it's an easier... It's more intentioned, right? Because then as soon as I think if you try to design let's go with this example of Guardian Rogue Muldoon, I feel like you risk the boxing gloves thing, where these rogue cards might work too much with Tommy Muldoon and not enough with the rogue pool, right?
Yeah, but here's the sneaky marketing part. If you again, this is probably not going to be Tommy Muldoon, but if you really like rogue cards, go buy Andre Patel, and then you get some more rogue cards.
Yep, I could see that. I could definitely see that being the case too. Yep.
And then he's off class something else, and then, wow, you've bought all 5 of these things? Oh, what a problem. Maybe buy more product. Maybe buy some more stuff to fill out your collection.
Yeah, I could see that.
Again, I think the safe money is they don't do that. It's just what you say, they're mono, but I would love to see something different.
I mean, I would love if they were trait based and they got like one from each class in the deck. I think that could be cool. And then they're just kind of just like generically good cards.
I think the investigator art that we saw here, because we knew the names before,
Yes.
but we didn't know their art. And holy cow, I think that they knocked it out of the park with the art here. These all seem like really fun investigators to play with, just based on choosing them on the box art.
Yes. I also, yeah, I'm a big believer with what the general sentiment is that the art in some of the player cards are a little bit wonky, to put it politely. But I think these ones are really good for the pieces for the investigator art. So,
and the encounter card art that we've seen so far is also...
The encounter card art has been incredible. But my theory for that is that encounter card art is inherently more interesting of a thing to come up with, so the art is more evocative because of that.
That's fair, but it's kind of a shame because people don't look at the encounter card as much because you don't see it every scenario. And the things that you select to put in your deck, you look at it on Arkham Build, you pull it out of your binders, you see it when you shuffle. You know, that's a little different than a treachery that pops up for 30 seconds and then it goes in the discard pile.
Yep. No, I think it's fair, and I think it's a good criticism too about it, but I think there's only so many ways to make person looking at book interesting, as we thought for that. Compared it to like on Dare BK's website, the one that came up, I actually just want to like get this just because it is like, this is art that's just inherently more interesting. Let me just scroll down here and put it up so you don't see it all.
Sure. You're right, though. I think there's so many, unbridled knowledge. Is
like this one, right? Like, this is just an interesting, like, piece of art and a good, like, it's more something than just, like, again, person standing in a burning building, right? With that said, though, there are still hits. Like, I think like there's stuff like this, but I think player card is just, it's like the theming on them is just more dull because this is not player card art.
No. It could be a weakness though.
Yep.
Which I think the weakness has been really cool so far. But even Meat Cleaver, right? We stared at Meat Cleaver for a while, and then suddenly you notice there's Human Remains in the background.
Yep. What's Daniela doing?
Oh, I love that, by the way, that they told us in the in-flight report about this meat packing facility that a couple of the investigators are a part of. And it's like, of course, that's why Meat Cleaver is in the set. Makes sense now.
Yeah. And honestly, too, I think that even art like Perception, you get it small, it's in your hand, just like holding it like a card, it's going to read a lot better. I think it's a case for a lot of these things.
Because like if you have a card in your hand like her, though.
No, yeah. And I mean, like, it's one of those things. This is something that PAX is a big proponent for online. It's just like, especially like we look at Rob Lasky, everyone's like, yeah, Meat Cleaver is an awesome piece of art. Guess who drew fucking Perception? The same artist, right? Like, I think also, like, if you're going to consume a game and you're going to, like, get critical about things, I think you need to start, like, backing that up with knowledge, right? So you should be like, you should look at this and be like, hey, it's the same. I like this one. I hate this one. Wait a minute, it's the same artist. What does that mean, right? Like, why? Like, what should I do to dig that? Should I, as Pax says, that Rob Lasky is known for either killing it or getting killed by it, right? And that's just like what comes with it. And I think that that's just sometimes how it is. I think that I would love it if the art director was a little bit more critical about the stuff, right? But I think that they've made a bunch of cards this year, and just, again, there's always been hits and there's always been misses, right? Like, great card, right? Like, I think people, again, focus on the bad stuff but aren't appreciating the good stuff. And I think that, I mean, it says more about society right now in 2025, which goes beyond what we want to talk about here in this video, but...
I will say, like, the framing in some of these has been a bit off, like level-headed.
I agree.
It took me a while to figure out that was a fire extinguisher she was holding.
Yeah.
It's, like, just too far down.
This was my beef. This is the thing that I said. The thing that's really ticking me off is the framing for these cards. There was another one, too, that I was talking about, how I don't like how it's... The
Lucky one?
Yeah, the new Lucky. It's just, again, there's too much headspace, too much headroom. Yeah.
I will say this, and hopefully this is not a hot take, but if the thing we're complaining about with this card game is the art and the framing and all of that, then I think the card game is doing pretty well.
I agree. I'm a big. I know some people they care about the art a lot, and I empathize with those people. But I'm not one of those people, so I'm with agreement with you there.
Yeah, I mean, again, it doesn't mean that we don't care about the art at all. It's just that if this is the thing that we're harping on and making a big deal out of, it's probably we have better things to do, as you've said, like go outside and touch grass a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the mechanics of the card game and all that stuff, that I feel like is fair game for us to think about more. But honestly,
Yeah.
like the design team is not the art team. It's different. It's not the same. They have to. There's so much to make. They have to outsource, obviously, to many different artists, and sometimes you get what you get, and you have to move on because things have to be printed, and that's life.
Yep. Yep. Speaking of art, though, their key art for their expansions are kind of sweet. Like, they're looking really good.
Yeah, this one is really cool. I like this one a lot.
Yeah, and likewise with this one, too. Which seems to kind of follow a similar vibe. I wonder if there's going to be, like, a through line for Children of Blood and Without a Trace.
So, do you think, based on a lot of marketing hype, that this Chapter 2 stuff is going to try to be a little bit more canonical in terms of a story from campaign to campaign or scenario to scenario? They've turned the page, as it were, to Chapter 2 and said, well, Daniela's motorcycle shop burned down, or whatever it was exactly. So now she's working in the meatpacking store or shop or whatever it is.
Yep.
And are we going to get some kind of progression in the world of Arkham through these different campaigns and scenarios, rather than our just sort of monster of the week type of thing from each campaign?
I think so. I think they're going to still be designed to be episodic in terms of, like, if you just wanted to play them. But I think there is going to be an intended through line where if you play them in this order, they kind of have events that link with each other. So yes, I do think so.
Because before we've gotten, like, little wink, wink, nudge, nudge about characters or whatever from other campaigns, but it never being serious.
Yeah.
So Judith from
Yep.
Hemlock Vale, right?
Yep.
Maybe I'll see you at Arkham sometime. Like, maybe that's actually going to happen. And you could see characters pop up in multiple campaigns and they say something based on what you did before. Or maybe not. Like, there's a few things that would be kind of cool for actual progression. Like, not seriously impactful with your investigators or the campaign itself, but I think it'd be neat for them to explore that design space.
Yes. Yep. All right, now let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Sure.
Of that everyone is a little bit hesitant about there being no long-form campaign in the year 2026 for Arkham.
We do know that. What we don't know is anything else.
Yeah. Yes. yeah. So, what are your thoughts in there? The designers only releasing 3 scenario campaigns from here on out, as someone has hypothesized. Do you think there's any sort of foundation for that, or is that just hearsay?
I mean, it's not even hearsay, right?
Yeah.
It's just someone said.
Yeah, it
Someone
is,
on the internet literally said this, not
Yeah.
anyone who has any background or knowledge of this. That's not going to happen. They're not going to go just print 3 scenario campaigns from now to the end of time. That's just not going to happen.
You can quote us, and if it happens next year, you can rub it in our faces. But I'll be honest, I probably won't care if you do. But yeah. I just think it's astronomically unlikely to the point of being impossible that's going to be the new norm.
Yeah. I will say that so many people over the last number of years said, I love shorter campaigns. What if they did a few shorter campaigns? And now they released exactly what people wanted. Yeah. And then, granted, maybe it's other people complaining, but mix it up. There's some variety out there. It's going to be awkward this first year with the change in the core set and Chapter 2 and all that. And they needed to, in my opinion, release those investigator starter decks. I don't think the card pool in the core set is big enough. It never was. And to have all of that out at once is a significant number of cards they had to design.
Yep.
So that's what they went with. Do I wish they also had a lot of time to make a full campaign? Sure. Do I also wish that they, sent me a bunch of free products every year and then
Yeah,
like
you
a
know what?
puppy
Actually,
and
I
all...
do wish that. Yeah, I do wish that too. Now that you
Sure.
say it.
uh,
Yeah.
but yeah,
And to go off that, they just hired a third designer probably because of this. They did this year and they were like, okay, so we want to hit 4 products a year, which they've done this year. And I do think that all the products of what we know about them are good products, right? We know the revised core is going to be important. We know the starter decks are good, right? Like, we know they're good. And we know side scenarios, standalone scenarios are good. The only question mark is this mini campaign box. But we also don't know anything about it, right? Like, maybe it's a 3 scenario campaign, but you like play it forwards and then backwards, right? So like maybe it's like only 3 scenarios, but it's designed to be more replayable. Maybe they're multi-part and they didn't say that in the thing. Like maybe it is just 3 scenarios. The fact is we don't know, right? Like maybe it's 2 scenarios and a hidden scenario, right? Like these are things that we don't know, right? So like I'm of the belief that I don't have much to say about it until we know more about it, right?
yep.
I think there's good trepidation for people who like upgrading their decks. I know you do, right? Mm-hmm. That is 3 scenarios enough to get that vibe. But I don't know about that until I see and play and experiment with what they've done with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't like it when you get an 11 XP dump or something, and that's you move on to the next scenario, and then you get that again, and you're like, well, you got 25 XP, so isn't that a full dex experience? Like that, I mean, sort of, but
It's the progression that you enjoy.
I enjoy the progression. I also want to make sure, because scenarios themselves, you don't always see everything in your deck, so
Yeah.
it's sad when you put something in the deck and you never see it, and then you end up playing one scenario with that particular card actually in play. So that's like why, from a design standpoint, I don't like the idea, and I'm sure a lot of people agree with that. But I also understand that people want to have like, let's have a weekend where we just play the entire campaign, and you don't have to worry about scheduling for 2.5 months to try to finish an 8 scenario campaign.
Yep.
So beyond that, like we know nothing about this.
Yes.
Might connect to other things. It might connect to the standalone. Might connect to the core. We can wildly speculate, and we might be right. We might be totally wrong. So.
Yep. And also, there's in the comments for the video where I summed up the in-flight report, there was a lot of people saying that we're only getting 3 scenarios to play this year. That is incorrect. There is going to be 3 scenarios in the core set, 3 scenarios, as far as we know, as they said in Children of Blood, and then the standalone scenario Without a Trace. Or Traces to Nowhere is called. Traces to Nowhere. Without a Trace is from Scarlet Keys. Yeah. This is Traces to Nowhere. So there's 7 scenarios. It's not the traditional sort of thing, but you're getting a very similar scenario load that we've gotten in the past. It's just spread out over more things. And also, I think that a lot of people aren't knowledgeable of how much design likely had to go into the core 2026.
Did you see Nick, I think it was a week or 2 ago, said something like on Reddit, because someone had this wild
that they designed it in like since February. They got this released for February, and he's like, that would be cool if we could do that all in a year, but designing even the standalone scenarios are the easiest thing takes a lot of time.
Yeah. And we're going to get 10 investigators, so maybe you don't want to replay these scenarios, but that's part of, I think, their intention is that go through with Carolyn Fern, go through with Tommy Muldoon, That's totally, 10 is a lot of investigators at once.
It is.
Right? Why is no one talking about that? That we usually get only 5, maybe 6 an entire year plus period, and we're getting 10 at once?
Yep. Like, that's exciting. People are, let me tell you, Daniel, people are saying, I got 10 investigators, but only 3 scenarios to play them in. Brother. Yeah, okay, you're being facetious. You do not have only 3 scenarios to play them in because you would likely also own other content. And if you're a new player, I actually got a lot of varying opinions from people. And this is actually probably the one that I released last Sunday is probably my most commented video I've ever had. I need to just check to see how many comments there were.
I think I saw yesterday it was like 145. I'm sure it's crazy by
Yeah,
now.
191 right now.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so
Well,
it's like
I mean,
that's yeah.
some of them are yours though. You know, you had to
Oh
go
yeah,
after
no,
some people
I
in
was
the
going
comments.
off. I was going fucking off in that comment thread for that one. And there's a lot of new players who were saying like this is too much, this is too little for me. There's a lot of players saying this is perfect for me. There were players being like, and franchise players being like, I'm excited for this. I've always wanted small campaigns. There's franchise players saying, I think I'm going to close the book on chapter 1 and just keep my Arkham thing here. And guess what? This is something that is true for all sort of content, right? Like there is going to be different opinions. They're not going to make everybody happy. I wouldn't even say like I am particularly happy about this next year, but I'm not particularly upset about this new year because I don't know what's coming, right? Like maybe I play Brethren of Ash and I'm like, wow, this is actually a core set that I want to play the scenarios of again. Because I think the original core had one good scenario. It had a good teaching scenario, but it's not a good scenario I want to play. And then it had an awful scenario to close things out, you know?
Yep.
And I think that I'm very curious to see that. So, like, I'm more intrigued than I am anything else. So,
I agree.
yeah. It's just one of those things that, like, I think that, I mean, also the Marvel Champions community, they're going through, this is a big growing pains part of the game. I think that this is a necessary switch that has to be flipped, and it's kind of a reset. As one commenter pointed out, that like to reset any of it, they need to reset all of it, and it's going to be there's going to be some. There's going to be a lot of lashing out. People hate change, and I think that it's going to eventually settle once people play with the cards and realize, oh wait a minute, the game is still fun as hell, right?
Yeah. I do think that it was impossible for them to do this without upsetting people.
Yep.
Resetting the entire game, like literally, and calling it a second edition where nothing is compatible would also have been dangerous.
Yeah, it would have been disastrous. Yeah.
As much as if there were no consequences, I wish they could do that. It's just not. It's not something they should try to do. I don't think the game was in that bad of a spot to warrant it either.
No.
There's a few things that I wish they would have done because they still could have. But regardless, this is like the easiest way I think to go forward. But people are gonna be upset one way or another. And literally, I think this is just a production thing. Like, do you know that there's only 3 designers at one time who've been working on this product, and there's a lot of product here that playtesters have to go through, the art, the printing process, of course, all of that. It's a lot, and I wish it were better and they had a design team of 15 and they could just do a great job at everything, but that's just not the way it is right now. So if you support the product and think it's still really good, check it out. Let your dollars do the talking there. And if you don't want to venture into this, like, all right.
Yeah, more power to you.
Yeah.
But you also don't need to announce that you're leaving a party. We can just you can just do, what is it, like the Irish exit where you just like step out, not saying bye to anybody. That's cool too. But I also understand people like to voice their concerns, especially on the internet. It's how things are. It's not how it was when I grew up, but it's how things are now. So, that's kind of just maybe I'm out of touch with how things should be. No.
No. I maybe it's the children who are wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I still enjoy the hell out of this game, so it's funny for me to think about, like, how does this change how I interact with the game going forward, because it's different products. I do want, at least on the channel, to talk about what's in print, right? We can't just, like, be playing Carcosa until the end of our lives, right? So, talking about the new cards, new investigators, the new expansions, all that stuff is going to be fun.
Yep.
But I still enjoy the hell out of the old stuff too. And there's new things to enjoy. There's new things to learn. And I'd love to talk about all of that stuff too. It's sort of a bit of a balancing act, I think, going forward.
Yep. Yep. No, it's. I think it's a very exciting time because we're gonna have to close up. We can do our final statements here. We just hit the hour mark, like literally, like 6 seconds ago. But I imagine that there are a lot of people who believe that I spin this to be positive because I'm making content. And I cannot change the minds of those people. But there's a reason why I called my channel back in the day Playing Board Games. Is because I am... And why also we release videos that are not Arkham. We do this because it's fun, right? I make this content because it's fun. I enjoy talking about Arkham Horror. It's one of my favorite board games because it's so enjoyable to me. So I want you to not get confused. I am not remaining as I am or being chill about this because I'm trying to sell you as a player to play it. I am as this because this is who I am. The second I stop having fun making this content, I am going to stop making this content, right? And then I'm going to just find something else that is enjoyable to me. But I love Arkham, and I think that this design team has worked really well for me. I think their player card design, while more restrained, is stronger than some of the previous designs that we've had in terms of how they fit with the card collection. And I'm very curious to see how they do this at a fresh slate. And I think that that's going to be really cool for the future.
Yeah. I'll just add to that and say we're still in a position where we haven't seen everything. And we can be critical when we see things that we don't like. And we can be appreciative and, really hyped up about things that we do like. So, yeah, don't mistake our stance on this right now as one way or another, because honestly, I just haven't seen it, right? I believe that things will be fine, because I think that's a good default state for something like this that's so low stakes. Like, this is a card game, right?
It's a game. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I reserve the right to say, like, this didn't work for me, because it might not. But I don't know that yet. We literally know nothing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, truer words were never spoken. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you were civil in the comments.
Not a chance.
It might sound like I don't like the comments, and it's true. I don't.
Well, some of them are weird. One of them. So I posted a video last week on my channel that was just my hype level or interest in playing investigators that I haven't, and someone posted something crazy that was, how could you possibly rank investigators you've never played? That's illogical. I'm like, dude, I've never jumped out of an airplane, but I think I can say I don't want to.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I mean, as I would... I let the demons speak for me last Sunday, and I don't regret it. And I feel like it's one of those things where we're getting a little bit meta here, but people can be rude to us, but we can't be rude to them. I think I'm going to start being rude to them, is what it comes down to. So we're not special as content creators. We're just guys, and I'm going to fucking burn it all down with me.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll get my popcorn.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll be back very soon on the channel to talk about more. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. There's going to be a lot to talk about. So, yeah. If you want to support the channel, you can do so by liking, commenting, subscribing, all that kind of stuff. If you want to go above and beyond, you can join all these names here and join our Patreon. I release content, game days, a bunch of cool stuff. There's going to be, like I said, a lot of stuff to talk about. So, follow the channel to see more, and also go follow Daniel, a quick learner. I've tagged him in the video description. Bye! Yay! Yay.